All right. Here with the man himself, Sean Day9 Plot.
I immediately want to know how many people you've introduced as the man himself, and also if you counted people into the interviews. I don't know why he counts in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Well, when I'm the cameraman, I still count it in because I like having like a cue, Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it.
A cue for yourself.
Yeah.
You're like 3, 2, 1, and here I go. Nice. Yeah. Good. Way to go, me.
Okay,
so yourself.
I see you haven't changed much. You're still very energetic. We saw you on the Red Bull cast. What have you been up to lately?
Well, other than being an energetic person, I like coffee and caffeine of all forms.
What's your favorite flavor of coffee?
I like medium roasts. I like to drink coffee. I like the flavor of it, so I try not to make it too strong. Otherwise, I just tweak. But I've been drinking coffee. I work on games in the day now, which is awesome. Working up at Artillery, and I'm even moving to San Jose in a week, so that's awesome.
You work on games how many hours a day?
Probably around 9:30 to 4:30.
Oh, that's like a full-time job.
Yeah, and then 4:30 to 8:30 is the daily.
Okay, so what do you do during all those hours?
During all those designery hours?
Yeah. What do you do?
Well, I think and do designery things. So let me address you, because there's actually 3 people there.
You should look at You should look at me, not at the camera. It's creepy when you look at the camera and talk.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell you about design. Well, because there's you, Ken. There's me, and then there's you. Like you watching right now, and I'm well aware that you're here with us, and it's wonderful to have you. So I'm gonna tell Ken things, then I'm gonna make little asides here, like fucking Ken, am I right? Yeah. Now you asked me a question, and I've just had a long day, and I can't remember what the question was.
The question is, you work at Artillery Games. What do you do day to day there?
Well, obviously it'll vary. I mean, the official thing that I do is work on the design aspects of Project Atlas. So
that's what it's called, Project Atlas?
Yeah, that's its like code name until we actually have something that's catchy and cool and relates to the final mechanics of the game. Because right now we're treating the game as like a research project where we want to build prototypes to work on different aspects of the game, and the good stuff we want to keep in, and the stuff that all our players hate we throw out. So we don't want to tie ourselves to some name before the identity of the game sort of has shaped itself. So that relates to a lot of what I do throughout the day. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm looking at Ken, and Ken's not looking at me at all. He's looking straight at the viewfinder. So I want you to imagine talking to someone who's just doing this. Just looking and like holding like the little microphone stick. But anyways, Ken, I'm going to continue to look at your pointed down eyes. But yeah, so that'll be a mix of things. Generally, it is like getting there, reviewing what the feedback of the players is.
Wait, whoa, players? Why can't I be one of them?
That's right. We have a play. I don't know if it's an alpha or beta, whatever you want to call it. It's open to everyone except for you, Ken. I'm like very sorry about that.
Dude, seriously, in all seriousness, I want to try your game. Like, why can't I try it?
Well, so the way that we're doing it is we're keeping a small group of playtesters, and then we add a couple features on, and we stop and look at what the reaction is, and then we'll change and do a different set of the same sort of features. So I'm trying to think of what an example would be that would make quick and easy sense.
Do you guys have a unit? It's an RTS, right?
Yes.
Do you guys have a unit that spawns smaller units in periodic intervals?
We have one called...
I can give you some feedback on that one right now. I don't even need to playtest.
It's actually called Harmswosts.
Okay.
Is what we're building. I hope you really like them. They're going to be very compelling. Well, no, I mean, right now we're not even focusing much on units. Do
you guys have units?
We're on like a tangent of a tangent of a tangent of a tangent.
Okay. All right. Okay.
We're going to order these. I'm going to tell you about the day.
Okay.
About the players and why we don't have Ken. About will we have a swarm host, because Ken needs to know. So usual day is like looking at playtest feedback. Normally there's a goal, like we're working on aspect blah of the game, like resourcing.
So what's this week?
Upgrades.
Upgrades.
Okay. What is the most fun way to get upgrades to improve your existing units?
So give
me
a really cool upgrade that doesn't exist in current RTSs that you might have in your game.
So that's too specific. It's like the way that you get upgrades, because I think traditionally in RTSs it's pretty much been the building. Like you have
like a forge.
Yeah. Forge has weapons and armor upgrades. In Command & Conquer, you get a communications center
Ish.
in order to get a mini map. You would need this building to build this unit. You'd need this building to unlock this unit. But there's obviously tons of other ways. Like RPGs will have a stat panel that has nothing to do with anything physical in the game. What does that system look like in an RTS? I'm going to keep making things up. Think of any way in which you'd upgrade in an RPG or an FPS that you've played. What does that look like in an RTS? So,
Like picking up an item.
yeah, like why are there not more action elements? Like that would be something that we'd want to test. Like how do power-ups feel in an RTS, picking them up? If we put them in and find out that players like them, but they become horribly imbalanced, well, we have a good thing and a bad thing. So we might say, well, what sort of upgrades create lots of imbalance and which one seems not to? And then we might realize, oh wow, the upgrades that do like permanent boosts, like plus 100, or excuse me, the pickups that do permanent boosts like plus 100 gas or something like that, to do the StarCraft analogy. Well, that's a permanent increase. You're going to have that 100 gas for the rest of the game, but maybe a temporary increase, like plus 10% movement speed on this unit for, I don't know, a minute. Maybe that's actually okay. That's an example of how we would have the general concept of we want to have pickups, and we'd start to travel down and explore other possibilities and just see what happens. We don't ever want to be like the smartsters, you know. We're like, oh, well, we figured out what fun's like in our head. People are horrible at predicting what's actually fun when it's played. So that's why we don't want to commit huge resources to building out a full game until we do these little tiny tests and see if this thing's actually fun, and then add a little bit to it and see if it's actually fun. So that's like what we're doing with upgrades and upgrade systems right now.
So you're like legit game designer. This is for real.
That's correct. I'm not someone who has thought of an idea and wrote a paragraph about it one time to someone who thought that it was cool, and I'm feeling designery today.
Wow. Okay. So this is really, when are we going to be able to see, you know, like some gameplay footage or like have beta testers? Is there any date for that, or?
Well, immediately the word beta doesn't have as much meaning in modern
Yeah, it means like really bad stigma when it comes to guys.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the way that games have normally been made is you have a full team of like 200 and they all start on a game and they know that it needs to be released in like 2 years. So when all of a sudden it's 18 months since start date, you're like, well, shit, we got to ship something. This is what we have. God, I hope it's not broken. All right, let's put it out of beta and see how good we are. And betas are not used to discover new gameplay. They're used to do bug tests and just kind of get a general sense of if there's last things you can change.
Okay. Give me the date. What do you think?
Yeah,
I want a date. Right now. If you had to guess.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I have no idea. I'm not even gonna.
Do you think that the game beta will be out before Winds of Winter? George R. R. Martin.
I think they'll probably come out on exactly the same day.
No, they won't. That would be such a. I wouldn't even know what to do, man. I would probably read the book.
Yeah, I think most people would probably read the book.
Then I would play, and my eyes would explode because I would not shut them for an entire 24 hours. But
well, you know, rather than say, we're not going to tell you, I think the more fair answer is that if stuff is still not fun, there's no reason to try to arbitrarily release. So, for instance, let's say we were trying this idea of having little power-ups. We thought power-ups were really cool. If we come up with an idea, it might take a week to implement it before we can test it and put it in front of people. And let's say we put it in front of them, we get some value, and we start to iterate on this process, and we do this 10 times. Well, okay, that's 10 weeks. And let's say after 10 weeks, we finally feel very confident in saying, you know what?
it sucks.
It sucks. And in fact, in that 10 weeks, we've had like 6 or 7 times where like this version of it sucks, this version of it sucks, this version of it sucks. And you know what? Pickups and RTS, it all sucks. It's shit. We're getting rid of it. We're not going to use it. Okay, cool. And then we might look at our game and go, you know, but it's still missing something. I still want more stuff to do. So I don't know, let's test different kinds of defensive structures. We'd put those out and then spend another 10 weeks working on it, and we might feel only half satisfied with it. So we put in another 6 weeks, and now we are satisfied with it. And that's the sort of...
So how long have you been at it?
I'd say about a year. I think it's been about a year.
And you think you guys have made good progress? Like it's been going well?
Yeah, it's...
Are you excited to show this when it's finally...
Very, yes. I get excited to play it, which is, I think, farther than I thought we would be.
Are you better at it than the other designers?
Oh yeah, I take a shit on everyone.
Are you really? Are you being serious? Because your pro gaming background.
I mean, I wouldn't state it like a vain douchebag like that. Like because like,
You
hold
could
up
say
a
it like a vain
gold
douche. Come
medal,
on.
like, well, yes, having played RTSs for like.
Okay, let me ask some questions about it then. Feel free not to answer, but
Dude,
these
this
are
is-
important questions.
This is hilarious, man. Like dude, Ken's been asking me like nonstop about Atlas, like even long before this. Like, Sean, interviews. So what have you been doing? Oh, games on. Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Holding it at
Well,
me.
you can't move. You can't run now unless
right.
we implement that feature
I'm
into
in a
this
room with a
interview.
white wall, man. I'm in a dungeon.
Yeah, you're trapped.
Hell.
Does APM impact how good you are in this game? Like, if you're faster and can do more things,
Yes.
does that make you better at the game?
So the statement that we have around multitasking is that we want it to be something that you can use to play better, but it doesn't feel like something that is restricting you and holding you back. To where a semi-competent, semi-fast, or I say a very normally paced person can still feel like they have some control.
And that's a good answer. Is there a skill ceiling, or do you feel that the skill ceiling is infinite?
In the current prototype, I would probably say there's a skill ceiling for sure.
Okay.
I mean,
Are you at there yet? Are you, like, if you practiced a lot, do you think that you could play the game close to perfectly?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I would say. Well, I mean, like the prototype we have right now.
Well, Flash. If Flash played it.
Oh, Flash played it. I would be above him.
Okay.
I would hit the skill ceiling before Flash, if that's really what you're trying to ask.
Yeah, I'm asking that.
But there are elements to a game that will add skill and depth and interesting stuff. Like I'm trying to think. Okay, like a skill shot in a MOBA.
Yeah.
That's something that will absolutely make the game more skillful and more interesting, as opposed to having all abilities just be click target and it just happens immediately.
Like Blink. Blink is like in one of the things in StarCraft 2 where it's like the skill ceiling is very high because some people can always blink faster and better than other people, like.
Yeah. So we can list off a bunch of things like this will add skill, this will add skill, this will add skill, this will add skill, this will add skill. Okay, we're going to put those aside because we want to make sure that we at least have something that's really, really fun first. I mean,
okay.
I think that there's a lot of things that in terms of skill, they've almost like already been researched, like if you make more stuff to do, if you create more decisions per minute, then naturally the skill ceiling will increase because there's a lot more actions that need to be managed.
Okay. Last question about this.
Okay.
If someone who is average at the game plays someone who is good at the game, how often does the average player win against the player that's good?
Oh, hey, what's up? Hi. I'm in a super important interview. This is very official. This is actually my big break.
Yeah, this is how he's gonna get a lot of followers on Twitter from this.
Yeah,
I think.
I hope to double. You were asking about skill gradation.
Yeah.
I think it probably would be super heavily favoring the person who's a little better because we don't really have systems where you can like make moves right now. In the same way like a skill shot. Let's say that you are in.
You can't like all in or what? Can you all in?
Not really, no.
That makes me disappointed because I'm really good at all-ins. I
know. Having seen you play poker, every time Ken gets aces, he actually he tenses up. He gets really anxious, and then he nervously goes all in. And when he wins the blinds, he says, "At least I didn't lose."
Yeah,
every time.
I lose with aces every time, man. I might as well just fold.
My biggest money losing hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, let's take skill shots. So if we have, I'll use Counter-Strike. I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike lately. If you are a bad aimer in Counter-Strike, you can still probably take down a really good person because there's that randomness of the spray. You won't be able to do it consistently over 100 encounters. You might lose, like 70 out of those.
99.
You might, you might lose like 99 out of the 100 if the person's way better than you, or if the person's just somewhat better than you, then you'd lose 70 out of the 30 encounters. But if you just had a contest for like weightlifting, like there's a much narrower range because there's no way to like do a cool play. There's no variance in it.
Right, like I'm not going to outlift in control no matter how many times we play, but if
Yeah.
we were to play, I don't know, poker or something like that, I
Yeah.
can win
Oh,
X number
actually,
of times.
here's the way I can explain it, because we have what I would just call like filler units, like a slow melee unit, a fast melee unit, a slow ranged unit, a fast ranged unit, because we want to have units that we can play with that are simple enough that they in themselves aren't amazing and exciting, so that way we can focus on these other systems and look at them a lot more clearly. So if you have a unit that just, or if I have some more units than you have, there's no cool micro tricks that you can do in the prototype that was existing last week. There have been prototypes.
I mean, other than like running an injured one back.
yeah, other than just like the very, very simple ones. But you know, there's
Those are cool though. If they allow those are cool.
Oh, I mean, those are totally things that we're going to put in, but again, we're in research mode. So, do we really want to put in the really fun, fancy stuff? It's like the low-hanging fruit. Of course, it'll make the game more.
So
fun.
you guys are still, it's just early stages still.
Yeah. I mean, I would.
All right.
Well, I'd imagine that if we get a couple of the core systems out of the way, then suddenly it'll just go and grow much more quickly.
So okay, like what's your experience like? You enjoying this? You think it's amazing, or you having fun?
I feel like game design is exactly like trying to refine a strategy when I was playing Brood War, where, hold on, I have to burp. It's a very emotional burp, nostalgic about Brood War. Excuse me, they serve Red Bull at Red Bull.
Yeah.
Gives me a little bit of gas. Winked at someone from Red Bull just there. I'm doing a good job. It's just like refining a strategy, you know, where you'd wake up one day and you think, oh my god, you know what'd be really cool? Is if I did this really sweet rush to defilers. I think that I can make this work versus Terran. This really sweet 2-base defiler rush, and then I can get my third, my fourth really fast.
You build your third hatchery near their base, and then you build a defiler from there.
And then you knight us, and you build the defiler at home.
You laugh.
and you can
Someone
knight
won a
us
Star
back.
League with that.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple maps like Gaia where it's actually good to build a hatch closer to them because it's easier to defend.
Yeah, and then you build a Guardian from there. I remember that shit.
Dude, fuck yeah, man. I was such a big Guardian player. But, you know, you wake up and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this really sweet 2-base defiler rush. So you start working on it. So that's similar to the idea of, like, I have an idea of something that might be fun. But so you got to now take an idea and you got to turn it into something concrete. Actually into something that you can implement in a game or something you can actually sit down and play as a strategy. So you work on that and you work on that and you're starting to see, oh man, you know, I actually should get my gas a little later here and a little earlier there at my second base. You know, I actually need 3 spines, there should be 3 sunken colonies instead of 1 in the early game because I really need to be spending most of my money on drones. You begin to learn all these little rules that are optimizing. So this is like you starting to actually implement your playtest version and you're seeing what's wrong and how to really prop up things to make it as fun as possible. But then, just like with a strategy, there comes a point where you might think, fuck, this actually isn't going to work.
Okay.
I got to toss this out. I mean, for every one strategy that you see a pro player bring to a tournament, there's probably at least 10 to 20 other strategies that they've tried out, not liked, tried in other tournaments and didn't get far in, and now they've gotten both the skill to execute that, but then also the lots and lots of practice and lots of the throwing away of the other bad stuff. So I feel very, very at home, and it's like super fun because with a strategy, it's a very like intangible thing in your mind, but with a game, you're like, there it is, fucking play it. Unless your name's Ken, in which case you're not allowed to play the technology.
I'm gonna just keep asking you until you let me do it. But anyway,
It's fine.
You seem to have to spend a lot of time, energy, thought on this. Is that cutting into your other stuff? Are you like just tired or busy or not have as much time to you know like do other content? Do you feel like you're missing out or what's the deal?
Well, I've sort of set it up to make sure that I can still do the StarCraft stuff because I mean, thinking and talking about StarCraft strategy is the whole reason that I got into doing the daily. Right, I'm on episode like 720 as of the recording of this, and the general flow is that around 4:30 is when I'll just do the show preparation. Generally on Mondays I'll stop at around 2:30 or 3 and try to plan out the whole suite of shows for the week. And I think the big thing that's keeping my sanity here is that on Fridays I just stream myself playing a game. And I actually treat it as a day off, and it's called Day9's Day Off, so it actually is a chance to get Some breathing room.
What's
from
your
everything.
what's your favorite random game you've played in that?
Antechamber? Probably.
What's Antechamber?
Antechamber? Just get it immediately and play it.
Okay, I will try it.
I loved Antechamber. It's a puzzly first-person shooter.
Okay, got it.
So yeah. So
have you been able to watch anything, follow anything other than video games these days? World Cup maybe, some movies.
no World Cup. I really like working on the game, so I do a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of 9:30.
You're like a
to 9:30
productive
days.
person.
Yeah, I work pretty solidly 9:30 to 8:30, at least every day.
When you feel lazy, what do you do? To like, kind of vacation or whatever.
I like to.
Are you really gonna tell me you don't take any breaks? Like on your break days, you just play a game and that's it, or what's the off work hour day not? What do you like? What do you do?
I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike Go. I really like that. Like to read books. I like
Give me a book then.
the Dresden Files. It's always my go-to. Definitely read the Dresden Files.
Recently, you read Resin Files.
Yeah, they just came out with a new book, Skin Game.
I don't actually know what that series is about, but
Oh my god. So Harry Dresden is a supernatural wizard detective.
he's a wizard detective. Got it.
So yeah, each book is roughly like a supernatural case that he's trying to solve, but the way that the author constructs it, they build on each other over a huge span. So the entire series makes this really.
How many books are there?
interesting arc. 14 right now.
14. I'm not gonna be able to read 14 that quickly.
You'll blast through them.
Okay. How long are they?
The early ones I think are like 300-ish pages, and the later ones get to about 500, 600.
Okay, so they're not like super long.
They're great to just blow through in a weekend, like super easily.
Okay.
I like to eat. I like to go out with buddies and eat food.
Who do you hang out with? Video game people or just regular people?
Like my roommates, they're pretty cool.
Are they into esports at all?
Not really. My roommates got me into Hannibal.
Do they? Oh,
Which is
okay.
something
The
that
show,
I-
right? That guy is
Yes.
creepy, honestly.
Oh, dude, Mads Mikkelsen is amazing. So I watched a lot of Hannibal. I've been doing some TV binges. I actually started watching The Bachelorette, which is
No,
just-
you didn't.
I did, man. I watched the last 3 episodes of the previous season with Juan Pablo, who was
Do you think you could get the Bachelor